I sit down with clients every year or more to check in on their plan, and more often than you'd think, someone who is locked in on retiring at 67 comes in and says something like, "I don't know if I can do this for another 8 years." Work's worn them down. They've had enough, and suddenly the plan that made total sense a year ago feels like it's asking too much of them. Sometimes it's a health scare or a windfall or something changing at home. But just as often, it's simpler than that. They're just done, and they want to know if there's another way. Here's what I've learned doing this every week. The target is always moving, and that's not a problem with the plan. It's just what happens to real people. If your own goals have shifted and you're not sure whether your plan still fits, that's exactly the kind of conversation I have with clients regularly. There's a link below. But let me show you why this is more normal than you'd think. First, I've been running my own advice practice since 2019, and if there's one thing I see change every single year with clients, it's this. The goal they walked in with is rarely the exact goal they still have a year or two later. And I think that surprises people, because when you first sit down and build a plan, it feels like a decision, like something you've settled. Retire at 67. That's the plan. Done. But you're not the same person a year from now that you are today. Your job might change, your energy for it might change, the people around you might change. And when any of that shifts, it's completely normal for what you want to shift right along with it. So what actually moves the target? Sometimes it's a health scare, yours or someone close to you, that puts things in a completely different light. Sometimes it's a windfall, an inheritance, a bonus, something that suddenly opens up a door that wasn't open before. Sometimes it's family, a grandchild, a parent needing care, something at home that changes what matters most. But honestly, the one I see the most isn't any of those. It's just work wearing them down. They're not burnt out in a dramatic way, they're just tired, genuinely tired. And the date that felt fine 2 years ago suddenly feels like a very long way away. Here's the important part. None of that means the original plan was wrong. It means the plan needs to catch up to who you are now. Wanting something different than you did a year ago isn't a failure of planning. It's just being honest about where you're actually at. The people who get stuck aren't the ones whose goals change. It's the ones who feel like they're not allowed to say so. So if you're sitting there thinking, "I don't want the plan I signed up for anymore," that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It means it's time to have another conversation. Not to start again, just to update the plan so it actually reflects who you are today, not who you were when you first wrote it down. The target moving isn't the problem. Not noticing it moved is. And sometimes it moves the other way too. You get to the date you're aiming for and realize you're just not ready yet. That's just as normal. This is general in nature, so it's important to consider your own situation, because what's changed for you will be different to what's changed for anyone else. Now, one of the most common versions of this I see is someone who doesn't want to stop working entirely. They just want to ease off, go part-time, get some of their life back while they're still healthy enough to enjoy it. So what does that actually look like in practice? That's what this next video is about. If your own goals have shifted and it's time to revisit your plan, I work with Australians approaching retirement in exactly this position. You can find details below.